All right, so as I said to you guys earlier, this week it's going to be a review, pretty much the whole week. Today and tomorrow, we're going to review 4.3 Part 1, which you guys did, that was way before Christmas break. And then we're going to do 4.3 Part 2, which you guys did the day we came back from Christmas break. Right? But we never had a test on this stuff, okay? Because we had a short week. We only had 2 days, I think, that you guys came back. So we went over the section, but we never really got a test on it. So we'll review that. Very, very short test on Wednesday. Thursday, Friday, we're going to start reviewing for the midterm, right? And we'll continue reviewing when you guys come back next academic week. All right. So this week will be your last test for term 2. So on the test on Wednesday, you're going to have to know 2 different forms of an equation: the slope-intercept, and the other one we just reviewed in the warm-up. Someone remind me, what was the name of the other equation? Not slope-intercept, but the other one. Yeah?
Point-slope.
Point-slope. Okay, so remember, when you write something in point-slope, it's not y equals. Y equals mx plus b is slope-intercept. That's still good to know. But this is the formula that we're looking at. And that's the one you guys just gave me in the warm-up. Same one. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Make sure you put those parentheses in, because that's going to involve a certain property with multiplication. So you can write that right on the top of your guided notes. So when you have a number on the outside and then a parenthesis, what property can you do later on? We have to multiply to what's inside. What's that property called? And sometimes we draw arrows. Yeah, distributive. Okay. So part of what we're going to do, and part of what you'll have to do on the test, is change point slope into the other one, slope intercept. Okay. And I already gave you guys the steps, but I'll just remind you again what they are. All right, so m is your slope. And remember, the x1 and the y1, that comes from a coordinate. Okay, that comes from a coordinate, which they'll give you. Okay, so what I'm going to try to do is, I think we already did example 1 when we went through the guided notes the first time. We'll do example 1 again, but then I know we didn't do example 4 and we didn't do example 6 when we did this the first time. I think we did examples 3 and 5. So we'll just switch the ones that we do. All right. But we'll do 1 or 2 review ones together, and then I'll give you guys a new one too. Okay. Does everyone have the formula? All right. Okay, so how do we write an equation in point-slope form? Today it's just going to be parallel. It says given parallel or perpendicular. We'll do perpendicular tomorrow. I know you guys, we reviewed it. We already did it, but we'll review it tomorrow. All right, so example 1, the coordinate I want you guys to write down is 3, 5. And the equation is y equals negative 2/3 x plus 4. All right, so part 1, and you guys already have that on your notes. It says plug into point slope form. Okay. So I'm going to go through each thing in the formula. Okay. We'll start with the y. What do you do with the y in the formula that we just wrote down? Is that one of the things that changes? You don't change it. No. Y stays as y. Okay, so you don't have to fill anything in for the y. Okay, the next thing in the formula after the y is the minus. How about the minus? Do we do anything with that? Or do we just copy it down? Yeah, just copy it down. Okay. So there's nothing you guys even have to write for the minus. It's just part of the formula. So you've already got the little minus on your guided notes. Okay. Lucas, how about Y1? Is that something that we plug in for, or do we keep it the same?
Plug in for.
Yeah, we got to plug in for it. Okay, how do we know what to plug in? Look at the coordinate that they give you. It's the number after the comma. All right, so the number after the comma. All right, so Blake, if I look at my problem, in the coordinate, what's the number that they gave me in example 1 after the comma? 5. Right? So when we start to set this up, we'll fill in a 5. I want to go through the steps first, and then we'll go back and do them. Okay, equals. Well, equals just stays as equals. There's nothing we have to write for equals. Okay, next thing is M. Adriana, what's M stand for again? That's my slope. And Jaden, is the slope something I have to fill in for or leave it the same? Yes, I have to fill that in. So now, we haven't done this in a while, but remember, if lines are parallel, they have the same slope. I know when we talked a little about perpendicular, we talked about like making it the opposite and flipping it. We'll review that again tomorrow. But for today, if they want something parallel, just look at the number attached to x, and that's the number that you use. So we'll review perpendicular tomorrow. Okay, so Olivia, if I look at my equation that they gave me in example 1, what's the slope?
-2/3 x.
Yep, just -2/3. So the slope, just the number. That's all you have to say, not the letter part. Yep, -2/3. So when we start this problem, that's the number I want you guys to use for M, -2/3. Don't flip it or anything like that. That's perpendicular stuff. Okay, we'll do that tomorrow. Yep. Yeah, when you flip it and you make it the opposite, that's perpendicular. Okay. All right, after the M, you've got the parenthesis. Nothing really there. The parenthesis just stays as a parenthesis. All right, X. Maya, is X something that we change, or does it stay the same?
Oh, it stays.
It stays the same. So X is just going to stay as X. Don't have to fill anything in for that. Again, the minus, just part of your formula. The only time the minus could change to a plus is if you minus a minus, like minus a negative. Okay. And Leilani, how about x1? Is that something that stays the same, or do we have to plug in? Yep, we got to plug in. So this time, you go back to your coordinate, plug in the number before the comma. Okay, so we use the number before the comma, the number after the comma, and we use the slope. Those are the 3 things that you need. And the last thing is your parenthesis, and that just, there's nothing to write for that. That just ends your equation. All right, so let's see. How about right above where it says part 2 on your notes? Let's actually write down our answer. Okay. So a little smaller. Let's see it. All right. So it says y stays as y. So I'm going to start with that. Y. Kelsey, what comes after the y?
-5.
Yep. So minus, nice job. And it says plug in the number after the comma, and I think Blake had told us y1 was 5.
That was me.
y minus 5. James, what comes after the 5?
Equals.
Yep. So the next thing is my equals. Next thing after my equals is m. Now for m, we have to decide, do they want parallel or do they want perpendicular? I'll give you one of each. If they want parallel, use the exact same number that they gave you for the slope. So John, what's my slope that they gave me in example 1? Yep. And are we going to do anything to it or keep it the same? Keep it the same because the problem says parallel. So that's my m. Negative 2/3. All right. Jayliana, what comes right after the negative 2/3?
Parentheses.
Yep. Next thing right there is my parenthesis. Got that. Lucas, what comes right after that?
X.
Yes, the x, and that just stays as x. Okay, how about Kayla? What comes after the x? Before it's something else that's a symbol, before a number. So yep, we want a minus. And now she said x1, so I got to go back up and look at x1. Julia, what's x1? Careful, 4 is my y-intercept. x1 is going to be the number before the comma.
Oh, 3.
3. Yep, so 3. So we got that. And how about, Joe, what's the last thing I need just to finish that answer?
What do you call it? It's parentheses.
I need my parentheses. Okay. So that's it. That's the equation of a line that's parallel, and that's point slope form. Right? So you're going to have one question on the test exactly like that. Okay? Part 2 is to change what we were given here into slope intercept. Okay, change it into y equals mx plus b. I'm going to give you one question just like this on the test about parallel. Okay, so does anyone remember the first thing you have to do to change that into slope intercept? And I gave you a hint. It had something to do with the parentheses. Yep.
Don't you have to subtract 5 or 5?
We do have to deal with the 5, but that's going to be the second step. Something I have to do on the right first. Yep.
You have to distribute negative 2/3.
Yes. So the first step to get it into point slope form is to distribute whatever number is in front of the parentheses. We'll go through the steps and then we'll do it. If we need a calculator because of the fraction, we can use our calculator. So distribute the negative 2/3. Okay, and then Elizabeth said something about the number with y. I think she said minus 5 from both sides. Does anybody agree, or if you don't think that's how you would move the negative 5, could tell me what you would do? How would you move this negative 5 to the other side? Yeah.
You would add 5.
Yeah, you would add 5. So it's always addition or subtraction. It just depends on the problem. Okay? You always do the opposite. So in this case, the opposite would be add 5. So the last step says add or subtract. See if I can make it a little easier to see. Add or subtract the number on the side with the equal sign with the y over to the other side. Okay, so the last thing we'll do is, for this one, we'll take the problem we had and we'll do that. So I'm just going to copy it down. y minus 5 equals, what was the slope again? Negative 2/3, and it was x minus 3?
Yes.
Because we had, okay, thank you. Okay, so we're trying to change that into point slope. Step 1 is to distribute. How about, Princess, what am I going to distribute? Yes, so she did a good job. She included the sign to the left. Okay, that says make sure you include the sign to the left. So let's distribute negative 2/3 to each of those. Sophia, is that going to do anything to the left side? What do you think? No? No, I agree. It's not going to do anything to the left when you distribute negative 2/3. Okay, so let's keep that the same. And Blake, what's negative 2/3 times x?
Negative 2/3 x.
Yeah, you can't really do anything with it. You just negative 2/3 times x is just negative 2/3 times x. Now, part of this we might be able to do. Negative 2/3 times negative 3. What's a negative times a negative? It's going to be a positive, right? And now let me check on my calculator. Okay, on my calculators, you can type in the same thing I'm doing right here. Negative 2/3 times negative 3. Okay, so let's see what we got. Positive, we already knew that, but positive 2. Okay. So Jaden, is that y equals mx plus b? No. Right now, it's kind of in the middle. It's not point slope anymore because you've got rid of the parentheses. And it's not y equals mx plus b because you don't have the y by itself. Right now, it's nothing. So Olivia, what would be my last step to get y by itself?
You need to add 5.
Yep. Add 5. Add 5. And once you do that, that's your final answer. Okay. Anyone think they can tell me what my final equation will be? Yeah.
Y equals negative 43 x plus m.
Perfect. If you can do those two problems, that's exactly what half the test is going to be like. I'm going to give you guys a point. I'm going to give you an equation, and I'm going to say, tell me one that's parallel. And I'm going to ask you to give me the answer this way first. And then I'm going to ask you to give me the answer that way second. That's what half the test is going to be like. Any questions on that? All right, so example 2, I'm going to have you guys try, but I'm going to change the number from what we did in class. Okay, we'll try a different one. All right, so let's try the point 2,5, and the equation I'm going to give you is y equals 3x minus 4. Okay, so I want you guys to try to find an equation that's parallel and goes through that point. Okay? Try to do it in point slope first with the parentheses, and then use the distributive property at the end to change it to slope intercept. Okay? I also made this one so the slope isn't a fraction this time. So you're not going to have, you won't need a calculator to distribute in the last step. Okay, so take maybe 3-4 minutes, give that a shot. If you get stuck, just call me over, and I'll come help you out. All right. So, what's our? If we're going to write an equation in point slope, first thing I want to look at is, did they ask for parallel or perpendicular? Which one did they ask for?
Parallel.
Yes, the directions say parallel. Okay? So whether it says parallel or perpendicular is going to control what you do with the M. Alright? Let's label what's what here. What number there is x1? The 2. Alright? What number is the y1? 5. What number is... Well, what's the last letter I need? I need the M. And which number there is M?
3.
Let me take a look. 3, yeah. 3. How about the -4? That's the y-intercept. We're not really going to need that. Okay, we're not going to need that. Okay. So in my point slope, Blake, what's the first thing I write down?
Y.
Yep. So we got y. Maya, what comes right after the y?
No. Wait, we're doing. Oh, okay, I got this. You do minus.
Minus. Good. Y minus. Olivia, what comes after the minus?
Y1, which is 5. And
5.
then equals.
Then the equals. Jade, what comes after the equals?
The slope, which is M.
The slope, which is 3. Now, I thought we talked about like flipping it and making the opposite. Why am I not flipping it and making it the opposite? Because it's parallel. With parallel, you just keep it exactly the same. 3. All right. Kayla, what comes after the 3?
I really just scratched it.
Yep. So we got the x, and now what goes between the 3 and the x? We got to put the parenthesis. Okay. Always put that parenthesis. Blake, can you turn all the way around for me?
Yep.
Yeah, thank you. So we got x, and what comes after the x? Minus. And what comes after the minus? Joe?
2.
X1, which I agree, is 2. And the last thing, just to finish off the problem, put my parenthesis. Okay, so that's your equation. What format is that?
And in the middle.
Guys, hold on. I think there's some question over here or something. Confusion. No? I was hoping that new seat worked, but I don't think it is. Seems like I put you up here and there was some stuff. Back there is still some stuff. I have to give this some more thought. So, what format is that equation?
In the middle.
Well, it's not in the middle. It is one of them.
Oh.
It is. That's point slope. Okay, point slope. Now, the second part of this question on the test, I'm going to ask you to change that to slope intercept. Yeah.
Can I get a drink on the bubbler really quick?
Drink? Yeah. Just hang on. Okay. How do we change? How do we change that to slope intercept? What's your first, Lucas? Yeah. What's your first step?
Distribute.
What are you going to distribute? The 3. So I'm going to put a box around that because that is correct. That was one of the answers I wanted. How about Elizabeth? Can you tell me when you distribute the 3 what you get?
I got 3x minus this.
Yes. Now it's in the middle. It's neither. You got rid of the parentheses, so it's not point slope, but you haven't gotten y by itself, so it's not slope intercept. Julia, what's my last step?
You have to add 5.
Yep. We have to add the 5. Add the 5. Minus 5 plus 5, that's gone. What's on the left now?
Y.
Yep, y equals. What's going to come right after the equals?
3x.
Yep, we didn't mess with the 3x at all. And what's negative? Stephen, can you just send back in?
Done what?
Can you just send back in?
I did.
It didn't work. What's negative 6 plus 5?
I knew that.
Careful. Not, you just need your ID, that's all, you're good. Yeah. So, negative 6 plus 5, careful, it's not 6 plus 5, that would be 11. Negative 1. Okay, any questions on that? Okay, so
Sorry.
that's, what format is that one called? That one's slope intercept. Slope intercept.
Wait, I thought we were gonna do, are you not?
So we did both. We did
Yeah.
point slope and we did slope intercept.
Yes.
Okay, so on the back of your guided notes it says, remember, lines are equations that have slopes that are when we're talking about parallel lines, the slopes are what? The slopes are the same, but what about the y-intercepts?
Different.
They have to be different. If they have the same slope and same intercept, it's the same line. Okay? Same slope, different y-intercept means, what did we just say? Parallel, yes. So in those 3 blanks, same, different, parallel. Okay. Reminder, what's the formula to find slope? We didn't do this in the warm-up, but it's a fraction. Yep.
Rise over run.
Yep, it's rise over run. And how do you find rise? It's something minus something in the top.
Y2 minus Y1.
Yep, y2 minus y1. And what goes in the bottom? x2 minus x1. Okay, so maybe I'll throw one of these on there too. Just to give us another question. Okay, find the slope. Okay. We already did example 3 in class when we did guided notes the first time, so we're going to skip it. Example 4, I just want you guys to find the slope of each line. Okay, so let's start with line A. Okay, how about Joe? For line A, we've got the coordinate -1, 3, -3, 2. Which number would go in the first box?
Y1.
Y2.
Oh, 2.
2. What's Y2 in this case?
3. No. Yeah.
Okay, we could do 3. So he's calling this one Y2. So it's going to be 3 minus, what's going to go in this over here? -2. Yep. So that one was Y1. Now, we have to set the x's up in the same order in the bottom. Okay, set them up exactly the same way. What's going to be x2?
-1.
Yep, -1. And what's going to be x1? Yeah.
-3.
-3. So we'll do that out and see what we get for a slope. How about Mackenzie? What's 3 minus -2?
-1.
What happens when you minus a minus? What happens to the 2 minuses? You add it. Add it. So 3 plus 2, it's going to give me 5 in the top. And Sophia, how about the bottom?
Okay. Gotta make it a positive. So -1. Plus 3.
Yep, it's going to become a positive because it's
2.
minus a minus again, and that
Positive
becomes positive 2. Now remember, when you write slope, don't worry about a decimal. Just leave it as 5/2. Done. All right. So let's check the slope of line B. Blake, can you tell me for line B what's going to go in the upper left? And we'll follow the same pattern that I think Joe started us off.
4.
So line B, we're going to focus on that.
3.
Yep, we can do 3. Adriana, what about in the upper right?
Wait.
Yep, so we've got the 3, the -1. Good. Jaden, how about bottom left?
Oh,
1. And Olivia, bottom right? -1. Okay. So this problem also has a lot of negatives. So we end up minusing a minus, becomes a plus. That becomes a plus. Maya, what's the top going to be?
4.
4. And Leilani, the bottom? 2. And 4 divided by 2 gives me how much? 2. So now if I asked you guys, are those lines parallel? Would you say yes or no? No, because they have different slopes. They're not the same steepness. Right? And let's do line C, and then we'll do our last question. Okay, so find the slopes. Put the minus in the minus, and now fill it all in. Kelsey, what's going to go in the upper left?
1.
Yep, 1, perfect. James, upper right?
-3.
Yep, -3. So we got those, we got that. John, how about lower left? Yep, we got the 4. And then the only one we have left is 2. Okay, so in the top, same thing's going to happen that happened a lot. Minus a minus becomes a plus. So I get 4 over. How about Jayliana? What's 4 minus 2?
2.
2, and that's what we just got before. So lines B and C have the same slope. Can I say for sure that they're parallel? Not yet, right? Because remember what we just said. Same slope, different y-intercept. Okay, in this problem, they didn't ask me to find the y-intercept. All I can say for sure is lines A and B are not parallel because they have different slopes. And what other lines are definitely not parallel? C and A, right? C has a slope of 2, A has a slope of 5/2. Those are different slopes. So maybe B and C are parallel, I don't know. It could be. I gotta do a little more work if I wanted to find that out. Okay, so any question on finding slope? All right, last one. So remember, slope-intercept form, you guys already know what that is, we've been practicing it. It's y equals mx plus b. Okay, that's a review. If you want to write it on your sheet, you can. I don't think there's anywhere to really put it. Remember, m is the slope. Okay, m is the slope. So this spot, you have a spot on your guided notes. So if a line is in slope-intercept form, and you want to figure out if it's parallel, you got to check out 2 things. First, make sure it's in y equals mx plus b. If it's not, you've got to fix it so that it is. Once it's in y equals mx plus b, check that the number with x is the same. That's the slope. Okay, if you're comparing 2 of them, check that the number with x is the same in both. And check that the b is different. It's basically what you guys just wrote down earlier. check for the same slope and different y-intercepts. And that'll be the last one we do. Now, when we did this the first time in class, I think we did example 5. So I'm gonna skip example 5. We'll do example 6. Anyone still need some time to go? All right. So let's look at example 6. Right. So they want to know which of those lines are parallel. Now, you don't have to find slopes. Slopes are pretty much given to you. So they're not giving you any coordinates like in the last one. This one's easier. But you have to make sure that all of those equations are in what form?
Y.
Yep. Are there any of those equations already in y equals mx plus b? They're good?
Line B.
Yeah, line B is good. Okay, we don't have to mess with line B. But line A and C, no. Let's fix line A. Anyone tell me how you would fix line A to get the y by itself? Joe?
You would have to 5 negative and
So all we're allowed to do is add, subtract, multiply, or divide both sides by the same thing. Those are the only 4 things you can do. Add, subtract, multiply, or divide on both sides by the same thing. Yep. James?
Add 3x both sides.
Yes. Add 3x. Add 3x. That's gone. So now line A is y equals, and who could tell me what's going to go on the other side? And remember the order you want: the number with x first, then the number without x. Yep. Yes. Now, if you were thinking, well, couldn't I write 5 plus 3x? Technically, you're not wrong, but we want the number with x first. That's y equals mx plus b. Okay, so we've got that. We've got that. Can somebody tell me how you would fix line C? That's the last one we have to fix. Yep. We're going to add 5x. We're going to add 5x. That's gone. So now this one, who can tell me what that one's going to be? Kelsey?
Y equals 5x plus 3.
Yes, nice job. 5x plus 3. And now the question says determine which of those lines are parallel. And explain if you think they're parallel or not parallel. So, which lines there would be parallel to each other? None. How come? Yeah, the slopes are all different. Line A has a slope of 3. Line B is a slope 4. And line C is a slope of 5. None of them are the same. Okay? So, what you would want to write is none of the lines are parallel. So none of the lines are parallel because all the slopes are different. You don't have to write a lot. That's all you have to write. You just say none of the lines are parallel because all the slopes are different. Any questions on that? Okay, so that's parallel. Okay, so tomorrow what we'll do is we will go over perpendicular. All right, so I'm going to give you guys the the worksheet. What I want you to do is, if you finish this one, I will give you the worksheet right after you finish that. So this is due now. You can do it on any piece of paper you want.
Can I do it on this?
Yep, you can do it on that. Finish that question. Show me the answer, and then I'll give you guys the homework, and you can work on that. But yes, there is a worksheet tonight. I'll give you that in a minute. You just have to do this one way. Just do it one way. You don't have to do it two.
In point.
You can do it in point slope. That's fine. Yep.